everybody. Let's go. It is a Masters Thursday. I'm wearing the green.
Nice.
Peter Schrager in for Greeny. And look at this awesome crew. We got Monica McNutt. We got Ben Solak. We got Jason McCourty. We got the great Kevin Clark. And we've got my guy Vince Goodwill. We are excited to be having a huge get-up this morning. But we start with the NBA, with the return of the night. And it was Cade Cunningham coming back from a collapsed lung. The Pistons hosting the Bucks. Cade has not played since mid-March, and he looks good there early on, spinning the finish and the tough bucket inside. Cade Cunningham's first point since the return. Then we see here the defense. Asar Thompson gets the steal, and get up there, Cade. Alley-oop slam. Cunningham becomes the first Piston with back-to-back 1,500-point season since Jerry Stackhouse did it at the turn of the century. Then, Cade Cunningham to the hoop, finishes. Pistons looking good. And then on the other end here, the catch from the lob, the bucket, contested layup, good. 8 minutes left in the third quarter, and take a look at this. Duncan Robinson finds him, and Cade finds the bucket. Then early in the fourth quarter, let's put an exclamation mark on it. Jalen Duren in transition with the slam dunk. Pistons would roll. They would win by 26 points. Cade Cunningham looked good. Monica, Vince, welcome back to the show here. I am so excited to talk about it because this gets the energy going as I'm flying the papers around
there it
here.
is.
Your single biggest takeaway from Cade Cunningham's return to the basketball court last night?
It's good to see that young man healthy. The Detroit Pistons are as scary as I thought they would be. With him back as the centerpiece, and I think that there was actually a valuable stretch. There was some silver lining, if you will, to his absence in terms of those guys continuing to find ways to grow, to develop their confidence when he isn't on the floor. They had some solid showings over that stretch. And so now I think you put it all back together, and they are as dangerous as any #1 seed should be.
Vince, he looked good. You've been following this team all season. Did you see a version of the Pistons that you say, spinning it forward, okay, those are the beasts of the East, #1 seed. It should be just fine for them with him back.
I don't know what just fine means, but I don't think we have anything necessarily to worry about as far as early playoff upsets. I think, like Monica said, a new dynamic for the team. Asar Thompson told me in Philadelphia, hey, because we had a superstar, we tended to relax a little bit too much. Now we had to lean into our grit, which is what this team wanted to be built on. Second best defense in the league, 8-3 during the 11 games that Cade was out. Now, as long as you have guys who are still committed to being themselves and not deferring so much to Cade because he's that guy, then you have a more dynamic team headed into the playoffs. I'm really curious to see what this team looks like 2 weeks from now when the playoffs begin.
Yeah, and look, we know the storyline. Last year, they had the Knicks in that tough first-round battle. That they haven't been battle-tested, quote-unquote, as far as going deep into the playoffs. But, Monica, this team, they've been dominant all season long.
Yeah, and I think the thing, too, that I'm looking forward to in the playoffs is to them being healthy and whole. Whether it was Cade, Stewart, Duren, like Thompson here or there, Tobias Harris, like they've had these sort of hodgepodge of their cast, different versions of their group. And I think ultimately it's healthy because guys are getting a chance to get real meaningful minutes, but they'll go into these series whole for the most part, which I think you got to look out because, again, like that version of them, I don't know that we've seen them as consistently down the stretch, completely whole.
And remember, Monica, during that first round series against the Knicks last year, no Isaiah Stewart.
No, that's a big swing.
He came back last night in addition to Cade Cunningham. They both of them on a pitch count. You remember, they're going to have a week off after the regular season ends because of the play-in, so you won't have real basketball for almost 10 days. I think that's why it's important for Cade and Stewart to get out there, get a sweat, get hit. Yeah. And then be able to take that break and understand what's going to be asked of them going to the first
Great to see
playoffs.
Cade back. Knicks play the Celtics tonight. We're going to talk about that in a second. We stay in the East to the game of the night. The Hawks visiting the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs looking to prove people wrong that, hey, we can win when it matters. Donovan Mitchell, look at this move. The dribble, and then look at the little finger roll here. Beautiful. Then the Hawks say, we're not going anywhere. Jonathan Kuminga finds Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is having an outstanding second half of the season. Oh, my God.
Value signing in the league.
Has he not been great? And then Dyson Daniels, who I think might be the best defensive guard in the NBA. He makes the play there. We go to the third quarter here. Hawks are up 6, and then the Cavs just catch fire.
No, the third quarter was crazy. I was watching this game at home last night. I was like, wait, what was the score?
Right? And everyone was hitting. There's Mitchell. There's Harden. Next possession, Harden again, 3, good. They would outscore them 44-20 in the third. Look at this shot.
Like, could not miss, throwing the ball in the ocean, Schrager.
It was unbelievable, but the Hawks would fight back, which you like to see. They made this one a game. Here you go, down 4 again. Alexander Walker, he has been outstanding of late. Then, here's Dyson Davis, he waits, gets it. Kuminga dunks it, and who's got a 2-point game? All right, Alexander Walker to that's the game. That would end up being it. The Cavs would put it away. Donovan Mitchell says, good job, good job. Look what we have here. Despite sitting in the 4 seed in the East, Cleveland has the second best odds to win the East at plus 360 according to DraftKings. Cavs now sit a half game back of the Knicks for that 3 seed with 2 games left to go in the regular season. Monica, they look awesome yesterday and they gave it up the lead, but then they came back and they find a way to put them away. Why aren't you buying Cleveland as the #1 contender to come out of the East?
I just don't think they've been that good. And I will also say this, like, that's not a number. To me, it's very rare to add superstar, add water, and it work right away. They've been solid with James Harden. Of course, he has his postseason demons that he's got to excise. But when I look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, it's less about them and more about how tight this thing is down the stretch. And I think there are teams that have opportunity to be more cohesive. You feel them on both sides of the basketball. And I think, to me, the odds are as much about their path, or are more about their path, I should say, than they are about the actual team.
So it's a 4 seed now. Let's talk about that path and the pole positioning. Are they playing a dangerous game right now? Like, looking at the standings, what do we do here?
Very dangerous, Peter Schrager. One thing you cannot do is tempt the basketball gods. Kenny Atkinson, the head coach, and a lot of their players have talked about, we want to stay at 4. 4 keeps you away from Boston. 4 sends you to Detroit. Now, I don't know about you, Monica McNutt.
Come on, talk to me.
But if you are a team that has questions about your toughness, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, talking to you, if you have questions about your toughness, the one thing I don't want to do is walk into Detroit, a team that makes itself a signature on toughness with Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart, and saying, we want to play y'all because we don't want to play the Celtics. Do you think that J.B. Bickerstaff is not telling his guys, go look at them? If there's one team I think that the Pistons cannot be beat by from a mentality standpoint, it's Cleveland. Cleveland can out-talent them, but you can't out-tough them. They can accept being beaten by Boston. Boston has the experience. The Knicks are a high-level team if they play their A game.
Last year,
So
right?
I'm with you, actually. And I think as far as those matchups go, let's just look at last night, right? Like, Cleveland ultimately has that crazy third quarter. But when I think about this iteration of Atlanta and their ability to defend on the perimeter, and then I think about Detroit, I'm like, wait a minute, that's
what you're signing up for.
Put some sauce on top of Atlanta, which was a team that could match up well with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So we're not just talking about perimeter in terms of making life miserable for Mitchell and Harden, but you have bigs that are willing to match up with the 2 towers that Cleveland has. So I think it's a very slippery slope. I'm with you.
And not just that. Let's be perfectly honest here. One reason Monica doesn't believe in the Cavs, they have so many question marks.
Yeah.
Allen and Mobley, are you tough enough? Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, we've seen their playoff movies. Donovan Mitchell has been a great player. He's never made it to the conference finals. James Harden, when it gets to game 6 and 7 of a playoff series,
Just fact, it is what it is.
He's turtled up, and Kenny Atkinson is so analytical.
Turtle.
Look, lies don't care who tell it, and neither do the truth, okay, y'all?
Yeah.
So, they have more questions than any other of the contenders in the East, but it's going to be fascinating to see.
All right, let's talk about a couple of the other contenders here, because the Celtics can clinch the 2 seed in the East tonight as they travel to the Garden to take on the Knicks in a huge Eastern Conference game. Tonight will be Jason Tatum's first time on that MSG court since he tore that Achilles in the playoffs last year. Vince, which team has more at stake tonight when it's Celtics versus Knicks?
It's always the Knicks,
You ain't
right?
gotta laugh so hard. Calm down.
I'm sorry, Monica. Orange and blue skies. I was going to say she wearing that colored dress over there. I get you, Monica. No, it's always the Knicks because the Knicks have never made it to the finals. In some ways, it's almost like we treat the Knicks as if they lost to the Celtics last year in the Eastern Conference semifinals, as opposed to vice versa. The Knicks they're not going to get the second seed, I don't think. But you don't want to fall to 4. And you want to, going into that playoff matchup with Boston, to have some level of mental edge. They're always teetering. Remember, Josh Hart last week, after they lost a couple in a row, said, man, we got to win this game. The next game was in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Like, what are we saying here? They're always on the verge of some level of collapse in our eyes.
Monica, you cover this team on a daily basis. We gave you a homework assignment as a show. We said, put together a Knicks checklist, what they have to get right in order to actually not just win tonight, but make a deep playoff run.
Yeah. Before we go to this graphic, which has the statistical things, I just want to touch on what Vinny said in terms of feeling like you're on the verge. The pendulum swings for this group have been disappointing this year. And in fact, coming into that Memphis game that you referenced, they had very disappointing showings versus the Charlotte Thunder. And then Oklahoma City actually wasn't a bad loss.
Charlotte Hornets.
But the Charlotte Hornets.
You combined the two. It felt like it.
The Thunder game actually wasn't in the league, but the Hornets game was like, what is happening? And so I think when you have the talent, you expect performances to be more consistent. Now, as far as tonight goes, these are the things that I'm looking for, not just tonight, but in these last 3 games to finish out the regular season. They got to get to the O boards. When they get to the offensive glass, that's their best formula to get easy baskets and the opportunity to get to the free throw line behind Jalen Brunson, penetrating, getting into the paint. They've got to knock down threes.
Yes, they do.
Look at this number, y'all. When they hit 15 or more, they're 31-7. Not to mention, that impacts everything in terms of how they play basketball, including the next point, which is how well they defend. Holding opponents under 110 points has been money for them, and keeping opponents less than or under 32% from the three-point line is hugely important for this group.
Monica, the crazy thing about the Knicks, for all the things that we say about them, 7th in defense, 3rd in offense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel a certain way.
Because and I've said this all year long, Traeger, and you're a New Yorker, you know,
Yes.
they are competing with the ghosts of the team from the past 2 years that captivated the heart of the city with all of the ugly things. Despite, on paper, yeah, this is your best shot. But they're competing with themselves and who they have.
High expectations. Masters Thursday into Knicks Celtics. What a day. Let's go. Coming up, does Houston have a problem? Yeah, the Texans made a big